Welcome to the TTT News Special. I'm BK Roster. Very excited to be speaking with founder and creative director of Diane Carlton Caribbean, Stacey Weekes-Benjamin. And even before we get into it, Stacey, I want to say congratulations because you recently showed at the Caribbean Posh Brunch in the British Virgin Islands. So I want you to tell me how it went, but just in terms of being able to be out there, as some people would say, what was that like?
It was fabulous. Of course, we live in an era where we have closed borders, and I was not able to be there in person. But the virtual experience affords us the opportunity to be two places at the same time. I felt it was a great opportunity. Neil Clark is who introduced me to the idea, who proposed the idea to me, and everything was very well organized. I was just required to ship my collection. And once it landed there, Janet Bryn and her team literally took things over. They selected my models, they styled my designs for the runway. We were well received. The entire event was a success. There were a lot of great speakers and the women embraced the fashion. So it felt good doing something out of Trinidad while in Trinidad during this period.
Well, how easy is it to literally let your babies go? And I say that because, yes, you'd be thinking or you have fashion with finances in mind. But in terms of something like a showing where you usually have this level of control, how easy is it to send and trust that this is going to happen within a certain level to your liking?
You know, it's interesting you would ask that. You must know me because it was not easy. As you say, these are my babies. You know, these are things that come from my bowels. And I am very attached to my designs. And I like to see them done and prepared and showed a certain way. But I also understand that we need to pivot. And sometimes in business, you have to let go of the reins a bit for the sake of the bigger picture. And I think what I did my research about the event. And I trust Neil Clark implicitly. And if she says that this is a great platform and these are responsible people, I swallowed swallowed my control gene and just had to trust, that this was a good opportunity to take.
I'm glad it turned out the way that it did, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let me ask for an overview of the brand, please. And what is the aesthetic like? What are these things that emerge from your bowels? What do they look like?
So our brand launched in 2018 in Minnesota. And, I tell people that I have not yet done a cohesive collection where everything, there is an adjoining fabric or an adjoining pattern. I am literally just birthing almost every fashion dream. When I have an idea, I just want to see it go. We are known for our bright, bold, flowy dresses. I use a lot of ethnic fabric. And when I say ethnic, not just African print is one of the things I explore a lot. I use a lot of mixed prints. Sometimes we mix the most unlikely prints together and something beautiful comes of it. I use a lot of East Indian influence. I use a lot of Middle Eastern influence. I feel like within the last 3 years, which is how old the brand is, that I've literally just been giving birth to every little fashion dream. And maybe at some point I'll settle down and do a capsule collection where things are cohesive. But for now, like you say, I'm just pouring out my heart, my passion, and my bowels to my customers.
But I like the fact that you use the word explore. And I want to ask this question in the sense that, do you have, you said you're working with different things. Do you say, okay, well, this is what I'm thinking of, and I'm working towards that? Or do you say, okay, well, I like this cloth, or I have the spark of this idea? What does your creative process look like?
It is some of each. There are times when I go shopping for one thing and something else catches my eye, and I may not have a clue what I'm going to do with it, but I just know it just speaks to me. I'm talking some creative language here. And I just take it and go from there. There are times when I have something specific in mind. Like for my current line is ethnic audacity. And I wanted to do that because, within the climate of the world where everybody is exploring their cultural gene, you know, where you come from, you know, that thing that makes you intrinsically you. I wanted to use that, you know, things that are boldly African or boldly East Indian or a tie between the two. You know, so I started off with that in mind. And when I go fabric shopping or I look at stuff or I come up with designs, I am literally creating with that in mind. But generally, sometimes I get inspiration from seeing other things, from, you know, from seeing colors in a natural space. I really don't have any one process. And I think that's the thing that makes this so exciting for me, is because one of my taglines that I use is that it's a lifestyle. And that's literally what this has become for me. I think what this was born of, a lifestyle.
And I like the fact that you talk about having different methods or employing different methodologies, because you said you started this in 2018. 2018 is basically not that far before they started the pandemic. So
exactly.
what has your professional and possibly personal experience been with the brand moving and having to navigate the different journeys that would be posed by the pandemic?
You know, when the pandemic struck last year, May, I think in March, when we just got into lockdown, I literally embraced a lockdown, because we had our very first Christmas and Carnival season as not as a brand, but I opened my brick and mortar in April of 2019. So that would have been 2020 Carnival, and 2019 Christmas would have been our first Christmas and Carnival as a store. And I was very blessed to have 2 very busy seasons. I literally could only make 2 fetes because I was just dressing everybody else for the events. And so I yielded to the request of the pandemic. I locked down. I shut down. I used the opportunity to rest my physical body, to rest my mind, to, you know, sort of reimagine my brand, plan forward. I also embraced the opportunity. We have a big family, so, you know, just to spend time with our children, our grandchildren, and, you know, really just, you're not often offered an opportunity to stop. And I felt like I got the opportunity to stop, but the rest of the world was stopping. So it's not as if they were going and leave me behind. We were all stopping together, and I embraced that.
We are going to take not a stop, but a little pause and return to this conversation.
Yes,
so stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with Stacey Weekes-Benjamin, founder and creative director of Diane Carlton Caribbean. And Stacey, explain to me how the name came into be, please, how it came into play.
So I used my 2 fashion influences as a child. The Diane, I have an aunt, a very fashionable aunt, who just, you know, she's fashionable based on her sense of style, but she is what we call a diva. You know, she embodies that. And I've always admired her sense of style from childhood to now. And well, of course, my dad is Lord Blakey, and his government name is Carlton Joseph. And I thought the name sounded like something I've heard before. And I know that's always a good catch for a brand. Even when our label travels and people ask me, I tell them I'm a fashion designer, and they ask my label, and I say Diane Carlton. They say, oh, I've heard that before. I know they haven't, but I like that they think they have.
That works. But in terms of the showing that you just had, yes, what kind of opportunities do you think that can pave the way for, or just give an opportunity of showing how things may be done for more regional establishment? And does that make a difference to you?
Oh, it certainly makes a difference. Well, first, let me tell you, you know, I thought that the package that they presented to regional designers, especially in such a time as this, we were offered, you know, you showcase a line, a limited amount we could show was 10 pieces. But you were responsible for creating your line and for the expense to ship your pieces to BVI. And in return, not only did they showcase your line at a live event and give you, you know, physical, high-res, professional photos of your brand on the runway, on different models, different shapes, but they also offer you the opportunity for regional and I think in some cases international buyers to see your brand and propose an offer to carry your brand. You get a chance to co. What should I say? In that space, one of the things that they offered was that they gave us an opportunity to cohabitate with other designers in the space, and just across I'm searching for the word, help me, the cross pollination of brands. The guy who styled my line for the runway, he's a designer himself. So in looking at our aesthetic and some of the similarities, we had a conversation, about possibly working together, because we can see where if we collaborated, that could be something, and in this time, because we can't count on, so we are closed, we are locked down here, but their economy is open. So you can be here on lockdown and really leveraging your presence in another island where they are still functioning, and we're in that time where we need to take those opportunities, where those opportunities are an actual blessing to us. I have quite a bit of foreign customers, so even between the first and the second lockdown, we never really stopped producing because we've always had orders. There are challenges when the fabric stores are closed and everything else is closed, but you still have the opportunity to earn, which is exactly where you want your brand to be. And for a baby brand like us, we value that tremendously.
Definitely. And I really like the point that you make about cross-pollination, because sometimes we forget that we are stronger together. I know someone says if we don't hang together, we'll be hung individually. But at the same time, in terms of hanging together, though, how do people reach out, engage with you? What's that contact information? What are some of those platforms that you're on?
So I'm on Instagram. On Instagram, we are at Diane Carlton Style. On Facebook, we are Diane Carlton Caribbean. I have a website, www.dianecarltonstyle.com. I am on LinkedIn as Diane Carlton, Stacey Weekes-Benjamin, of course. You can find me there. Those are my contact number for the brand is 868-709-2477. And our email address is stacey@dianecarltonstyle.com. And that's Stacey with the EY.
Very, very important to put in. And I'm very glad that we're speaking, because one of the questions I have, it might be my last question, but it's burning. Do you see a new style or a new opportunity for, I don't know, virtual wear on the horizon? So it may be possibly easy to dress up, but you can use it remotely, because, people have all sorts of outfits that they have when doing these sorts of conversations virtually.
Certainly. I was actually talking to another fashion practitioner about creating something for virtual. A lot of people are just wearing a shirt with no pants. And like you say, this still requires that you look fancy, that you look dressed up. So certainly, it's just a little thing. I don't want to say too much because we're working on it. But I certainly, I think that we can do so much. It's about keeping the creative juices flowing, and every opportunity, even when it's a challenge, presents an opportunity to pivot and to reinvent and to be innovative and create stuff. And I know a lot of designers that have done that during this period.
Okay, and we want to thank you for sharing some of those creative juices with us, and we want to thank you for tuning in to the TTT News Special. I'm DK Ronstar.